Welcome to the bonus episode of the Process Automation podcast from ABB. I'm Fran Scott, and in these bonus episodes, we welcome back a previous guest of the podcast and interrogate them that little bit further, but with a bit of a twist. We pose 3 statements to our guests for them to reveal if they are a truth or a lie. And today we are going to be getting to know the truths and lies about carbon capture and storage, or CCS as it's commonly referred to. We are going to be joined by Dr Colin Hale of Imperial College London, who we heard from in our previous episode where we asked the question, how can CCS speed up the clean energy transition? Let's get started. In one sentence, can you tell us your job title, please?
My name's Dr Colin Hale. I'm Senior Teaching Fellow in the Department of Chemical Engineering at Imperial College. My main role is I'm responsible for teaching our students on a pilot scale carbon capture.
Understood. So now we expand the sentences. So in 2 sentences, please could you tell us what that actually means?
What does that mean? That means that all of our undergraduate students who come through do hands-on training on a reasonable size carbon capture facility that replicates a full-size industrial process.
Oh, you're good at this, Colin. So now in 3 sentences, can you tell us what this actually means for me, for the planet?
So with the carbon capture type technology that we're looking at and we're training our students to use, this is one of the tools that enables us to help to meet our net zero obligations to ensure that we reduce carbon dioxide emissions. And from the perspective of how does that affect the planet globally, well, if we can reduce carbon dioxide emissions, that affects the knock-on effects of things like greenhouse gases.
Absolutely. So now we move on to the statements, Colin, and there's 3 statements, 2 truths and a lie. So I'm going to read the statement, starting with statement 1. Statement 1, CCS, so carbon capture and storage, can be applied across hard-to-abate industries like cement and steel to help reduce their CO2 footprint. Is that a truth or a lie?
That's the truth. In terms of those particular industries, if we think about each of those, they need a lot of energy to operate. If they need energy, then that means there's potential for lots of carbon dioxide emissions. CCS can help to capture that carbon dioxide before it goes into the atmosphere, and then take the carbon dioxide and store it in existing reservoirs.
Got ya. So statement number 2, the adoption of CCS in industry will be easy. Is that a truth or a lie?
That's a lie. In terms of the adoption of CCS technologies, the carbon capture and storage technologies, there's challenges although the technology is quite well developed, the challenges in terms of scale up. Of course, we need to think about the costs of implementing this technology because it doesn't come for free. When we look at these processes, we have to think quite carefully about the amount of energy that we require on these processes to enable us to capture the carbon dioxide, how we can offset those costs, and of course, how we can offset the carbon footprint for that energy generation. And then increasingly, we're looking at coupling together processes. So some of the key challenges are around the stakeholders involved in every aspect of those areas and policy and consistency of policy in particular.
Gotcha. Because, of course, consistency in policy means that people know where it's going and so they can invest their time, their technology and their money into something that in 10 years' time there won't be a handbrake turn on. And so it just gives people the confidence to be able to invest in this field, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that consistency of policy is really around generating confidence in that particular sector and ensuring that that confidence stays in place.
Understood. So statement 3, we are hurtling through this, Colin. This is great. CCS can be retrofitted to existing power and industrial plants, allowing for their continued operation. Is that a truth or a lie?
That's true. In terms of if you can take the carbon dioxide emissions from an existing process, capture those, and then treat that carbon dioxide to either utilize it or store it, that in its simplest terms can be added to an existing process. It's not trivial, but it's certainly possible.
Got you. Yeah, it's not easy, but you can do it. So what are you most excited about when it comes to the future of CCS? Because you're dealing with students day in, day out. You're dealing with these next generation of employees that will implement the things that we only started thinking about 10 years ago. So in terms of someone having their fingers on the future, you are the person. So what are you most excited about?
Well, I think one of the key things is that a big chunk of our students are very interested in going into the sustainability area and pushing it forward. And I think that is one of the key drivers for ensuring that this technology is moved forward to ensure that we meet our net zero obligations. And of course, as we develop more people with experience in those areas, that means that technology moves forward at a much faster rate. So I think it's a very exciting time to be a chemical engineer or an engineer looking at that energy transition.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Colin. Thank you so much for everything you do in preparing the next generation. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. A huge thank you to our guest, Dr. Colin Hale. Now, if you want to hear more from Colin, do go back and listen to our previous episode if you haven't already. Now, the Process Automation Podcast is coming back for another season, and we want to hear from you and the topics you would like us to cover in 2025. So in the episode description, there's a link to the ABB's website, and there you will find a form. So send in suggestions to us via that form. And also, if you are an expert, we want to hear from you. Use that form to send us your domain of expertise. Now, I'm Fran Scott, and the Process Automation Podcast is a fresh air production from ABB. That is it for this season, but make sure you follow now for free from wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.